Welcome to the Lead It Culture podcast, where every episode is about learning how to grow and thrive in today's culture, rather than letting the culture define who we are. Here are your hosts, Kenny Mason and Edgar Ruiz.
Hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
Good, all the goods.
Yeah, all the good. Welcome to another episode of the Lead at Culture podcast. We're very, very excited to hit today's topic.
Yeah,
we'll be looking into the importance of having a balance in your life, really, whether it's balance with your family, at work, at school, or all together. And the importance of that. So, a while ago you told us that you had 2 jobs in high school.
Okay? Yeah.
And so how was that? How was balancing everything when you had 2 jobs as a sophomore?
It was crazy. So because of the culture that I grew up with, I think what helped me as when I was like 9 and 10, my grandfather owns 3 barbershops.
Yeah.
2 barbershops in the Barber Academy, but at that time he had 3 barbershops. Wow. He would, make us, help, like say, hey, you should sweep hair. So we swept hair. And this was like when I was like 9, 10. And when we were 16, he would make us go get a real job. Like, hey, now it's time to go get a job. So I think that being installed in me at a younger age helped me when I got to high school, when I was 16, to go get a job. And I worked at Journeys. And for those of you who are wondering where I worked at, and a shoe store, if you don't know. So I got 40% off all of my Vans.
Wow.
Let's go.
40% off?
I need to go back, bro. I need a part-time job.
What on Fridays?
I know, right? I know. I need to go back. 40% off was sweet. Yeah. So I had like all the Vans too. And I also worked at Hardee's.
Okay.
Dropping chicken. Okay, up in there. But
I never had Hardee's.
Never
had Hardee's.
What? You need to go get a thick burger right after this podcast.
Too.
Yeah. It is really Hardee's breakfast is good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Not the healthiest, but it is what it is. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So work 2 jobs, and the reason why is because I grew up not having the money to get the things that I wanted to get, so I wanted to work to get the things that I wanted to get. And
that's good at a young age too.
Yeah, and I was in marching band.
Okay.
I mean, that was a lot. So I had to balance all of that. Marching band is a lot in the fall.
I bet.
Very time consuming. Yeah. So and as a teenager, I mean, even if you're listening, like you don't work every single day as a teen or a young adult. Like when you're a young adult, you're different. But you work every day to get money because you don't have any money. You're on your own. So like with me in high school, I did work. I didn't work every day in high school. I worked every other day or maybe 2 days a week. I got upset when I only saw my name 2 days on the schedule. I'd be like, excuse me, I need more money. You know what I'm saying?
I need my Vans.
Yeah, I need my Vans, 40%. It might drop it. I don't know. So yeah, I just I think with that, I really didn't understand balancing at that time. Yeah. Because I was just, I was working, I was getting money, I was doing band, I was just kind of everywhere. I was buying stuff that I wanted. And I think setting and achieving goals for myself, I achieved that because I worked those goals. Yeah. But I think when you are when you are a teen or when you are a young adult and when you are you're having that life, I think the one challenge that, you have to make sure that you always rise up to is making sure you have a healthy balance between work life, leisure life, time for yourself, time for, if you're if you're a young adult, you're in a relationship, whatever that looks like. I think that's super duper healthy. So that's kind of, that's what I had to remember. Yeah. In that, when I was that age, but, so 2 jobs, 2 job Tommy. Well, Tommy didn't have no job. He was mine. But Edgar, what about you? How was it? Did you have a job? How was that balancing out and all of that good stuff, or just setting goals and everything like that?
Yeah, no. So I wanted a job in high school because same thing. I wanted to get shoes. I think my friends were really into the retros. Yeah. And I was like, I want to be a sneakerhead. Yeah. I want to get into this. But I didn't have any money. I was like, I got to find a job. Man, I remember I applied to so many places, never got a position. I was like, it's all right. It's not meant to be. Whatever. Yeah. But when I got to college, I got a job my junior year, working in the finance department. Always liked numbers. Yeah. And so I worked in the finance department, working about 15, 20 hours a week, along with school. It was a decent balance at the time. But I remember I started to get a little more involved. I was doing 15 hours of school. I was doing 15 to 20 hours of work. And along with that, I was a leader on our floor, on our dorm.
Oh, wow.
So that was on top. The requirement was 15 hours. That was like the minimum, but really, from experience, it's kind of like a 24/7 job. Anything happens on the floor, you got to be on call.
Yeah, you're the guy. You're the guy, yeah.
And so we're at 45 hours right now. And then halfway through my junior year, something happened with the basketball team for our school. And I didn't have to, but I was asked to join. I was like, absolutely, I would love to. Yeah. And so I joined in. So on top of everything else, I joined the basketball team, which is an additional 15 or so hours a week.
Let's go. What was your jersey number?
My jersey number was 4.
Let's go.
4. So
that's a hard number.
I wanted a single digit.
Yeah, okay.
I wanted a single digit.
Who was 4 in the league?
I can't think of one.
Yeah,
I think IT. Was IT 4?
He was 4.
IT was 4.
He was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember I was 4 and I loved playing basketball. Grew up playing basketball. It was a big part of my life.
Yeah.
So I didn't even hesitate. I didn't even think of my schedule, didn't think of anything else. At this point, I'm also dating my wife now, but we were dating back then. And so that's also time that I have to intentionally put for her. Yeah. But I mean, I was looking at 60 to 70 hours of work, quote unquote. And I got to a point, I mean, I was burnt out. I completely burnt out. And from that, I began to really lose my passion for being a leader on my floor. Wow. That's where the trouble kind of started happening between me and Gina, my wife. That's where a hard season really started to take shape in our relationship, because I began to put her in the back. Like, she was no longer a priority. And I had all these things that I was trying to balance, and I couldn't. I didn't know how to. I didn't have any tips or any advice, and I didn't really realize it until one of my mentors laid it all out. Like, hey, you're having 15 hours here, 15 hours here, 20 hours here. You have a girlfriend that you have to tend to as well. And through that burnout is when I learned, like, I need to learn how to rest.
Right. Yeah.
And what does rest really look like? Like, it's not just getting away and watching movies or watching Netflix all the time. Like, I think rest is also, I know a lot of people aren't okay with it, but I love just sitting in the room and quiet. Yeah. Like, I think it's very peaceful. Yeah. And so that's kind of what rest also began to look like for me.
I'm an extrovert, so I feel like I'll leave the room and say, hey, everybody okay? You know, like,
yeah, no, I'm an introvert who knows how to be an extrovert. Right. That makes sense. But to regenerate, like, I need to be by myself.
Right, that's true. Yeah.
And so, it was through that time, like, I really learned the importance of having a balance. Because if I put my time into everything, if I'm trying to be a good leader, if I'm trying to be a good athlete, if I was trying to be a good student, a good employee, spreading myself so thin, I'm never going to be able to give 100% to everything.
And I think with balancing is that you, like how your mentor did, you're giving 15 minutes to this, 15 minutes to that, 15 minutes to this. When you're trying to balance life as a young adult and as a teen, you have to list everything that you have going on. Because with me, if I don't get it out of my head onto paper, that's just me. Yeah. I can't manage it the right way. Yeah. I mean, it works, everything works like that for me mentally. I got to get it out of my head.
Yeah, you're visual.
Right, I'm visual. Yeah. So if it's in my head, it has to come out somehow so that I can see what my mind is doing, because it's just so much going on in my head. I'm an overthinker already. So when it's on paper, I can say, okay, I really don't need to do that. Yeah. So now you've gone from balancing to prioritizing. And you need to prioritize your time, prioritize your job, prioritize time with your friends, right? Because that's important too. You can't say, like, I don't got time for y'all no more. you don't have time mentally, but you can make the time. Right. That schedule comes from you. Then your work hours is working out, your family time is working out, because you need to spend time with your family. That's important, because you don't want to become, I was in college, and when in college I got married young. I got married my junior year. Wow. No, going into my senior year. My wife was what did I get married? I graduated I graduated. My wife is going into her senior year.
Okay.
So we got married May of 2013. Well, when we get married in college, you have to live a married life. So my mom is like, well, I mean, I kind of feel her pain now. She's like, you didn't get to come back home, you know. So but I'm trying to paint a picture. So if I was in high school, like never wanted to be home, never wanted to be around my family. Now I'm in college and I didn't even know I was going to get married coming out. Like my family is like, well, we didn't really get any time with you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why it's just so important to prioritize because you don't know where you're going to go next. You know, I didn't know I was going to get married, but I did. And now I have to be a husband.
Yeah.
You know, and then I got to be a father. So that's going to take up a lot of time. So just that balance is so important. And I think setting a goal to make sure you learn how to balance that in a healthy way and not only balance, but prioritize is beyond essential.
Yeah. I think we live in a culture that's very work.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta work so you can have money to provide for your family, but or provide for the people you care about. But if you don't have people you care about, you're not tending to them, there's no one to provide for. And so you're doing all this work, spending all this time, work, 20 hours a day working. I can only sleep 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's not realistic.
That's true.
And we really having a balance of, okay, I want to provide for my family, but I want to be able to tend to my family and be present.
Right, yeah.
And especially growing up when you're in high school, you see a lot of adults, and you're like, oh, I want to be there.
Yeah.
I want to be working. I want to have all these things. But what you don't see is also there's a lot of stress behind everything.
Right,
There is a lot of balance. So the sooner you begin to learn how to balance things in school, middle school or high school, the easier it'll be to then go into college or go into the workforce and know how to balance everything else.
Yeah.
Like I wish I had a routine, like a morning or an evening routine when I was in high school, or even a study routine. Because then when I got to college, I was like, oh my goodness, like I got all these classes, all these things, and I don't know how to balance it all.
Yeah.
And I don't have any routine in my life.
Yeah.
So I think setting those healthy habits,
that's good.
Like if you want to wake up at a certain time and maybe just read a book, drink a smoothie, drink coffee, whatever it may be. But doing something, setting habits that will teach you discipline.
Yeah,
so
that's
that
good.
later on, when harder things and your schedule gets more and more busy, you know how to balance it all.
Yeah, I think that's so good to make sure that you are, you know, balancing, you know, pretty much everything. And like morning routines, not even morning, just routine.
Yeah, exactly.
Repetition, you know, doing the same thing, you know, or not same thing, but just switching it up to try to find that main thing is so important, especially for like if you are coming out of college. I mean, coming out of high school, going into college. Yeah. I mean, I would just say that, you know, when you are in school, you have a routine. You got class after class. Or if you are in any social organizations, they're going to demand a lot of your time. But and then you got time with your friends, so it's pretty free. But at the same time, it gives you a routine, so that when you do graduate college, you kind of have somewhat of a routine. Yeah. But I want to say this to I mean, this could work for high school, middle school, but more important, like with college, balancing and coming up with a routine. Figuring out all of that is just so important. Yeah. And it's just really important. Yeah. And because you want to set realistic goals and achieve those goals not immediately. Yeah. Like the mark is not perfection, right? So like it's just about taking time. Like even if you're not in college, okay, let me stop saying this, okay? Because I need to communicate this to everybody. If you are 19, if you're 18, you're a senior, you're not going to college, that's okay. Yeah. It's okay. That like I feel like that's especially now with this generation. Yeah. Like with Gen Z, Gen Alpha, all of that. I feel like when I was growing up, it was like you better go to college. Right. Now it's like
college, you won't do anything.
Yeah. I feel like now today it's like I don't gotta go to college. That's more accepted. Yeah. Like to do that. So I want to speak that to everybody that's listening. Like I don't want to only talk to people that's going to college. Right. And because you can become just as successful without going to college. Yeah, know. And I'm not saying you're in college, drop out. Like do not drop out. Stay your butt in school. So I mean, whatever goal you have, whether in college or not, or whether in high school, middle school, I mean, it's very important to just understand that routine helps, balance helps, prioritizing helps. and just figuring it out. You're not going to get it immediately.
Right.
You know, but the more you try, you'll get there. So that's the one thing about that that's just like super essential.
Yeah. I think I had a misconception. I thought routines would kind of tie me down, but routines really freed me up.
Wow.
Like they free up my schedule.
That's so good.
Because it's like, all right, I know I'm doing this at this time.
Right.
So I know that what I want to do, I'll do it on this time. Like,
that's so good. And I'll say this because sometimes I'm a really organized person when it comes to.
I'm usually not.
Yeah. It's all good, bro. It's all good. Like I'm organized in a sense of like I prioritize like even people in my calendar. And to some people it could be like, dang, you know, you got to prioritize me. And I'm like, well, yes, that shows that I want time with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That shows that I want time with you and I want it to be not interrupted.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So like, because I am doing that, I am showing that I care about you. I love you. I appreciate you. And just like you said, which is so good, you thought routines would tie you down, but actually they just free you up to be able to do other things. Yeah. Because now I'm not focused on 10 million things in my mind.
You know where everything else is.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's so good. Yeah.
Well, that was, a lot of good stuff.
I know.
Balancing and the importance of having routines. We both think that it's a very important thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so as we close out, Kenny, want to do the honors?
Yeah. So I know we got more episodes coming on our podcast. Yeah. So be sure to turn your notifications on for YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts so that you can receive all notifications and everything that's going on with the Lead Podcast. So I forgot what we're talking about next, but whatever we're talking about, just stay tuned because it's going to be super good. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you for watching.
Yeah.